Architectural Review Commission. Welcome, everyone. I'm Amber Dickerson, and I will be filling in as chair of the commission this evening. If you are here to present a project, you will have limited time to make your presentation, so we suggest being thorough but concise. When coming to the microphone, you will need to identify yourself, your relationship to the project. The commissioners will not ask any questions during presentation. Your project will be presented in the following order: site plan, elevation, architectural details, and wall sections. Then staff presents a staff report. We will then ask for public comment. Following your presentations, the commissioners will be asking questions in the same order as the presentation. Please state and spell your name clearly. If you are here to speak for or against, your time will be limited to 3 minutes, so take some time now to summarize your comments because 3 minutes goes by very quickly. Following public comment, the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed. The only comments which will be allowed after the public hearing is closed will be in response to any questions from the commissioners. The commissioners will then discuss the case and will make their decision based on the city ordinance, chapter 27 of the zoning code, the design guidelines, the Secretary of Interior Standards, historic preservation development review comments, and the testimony given at the public hearing. The ARC can only act on items that are within our specific jurisdictional responsibility. Owners and agents are independently responsible to obtain any permits and/or approvals. If you haven't already done so, please silence your cell phones. Introductions of other commissioners, including the legal staff. So I guess starting on my right.
Ashley DeCubis, I'm an attorney.
Tamara Rice, architect.
Shauna Boyd, interior designer.
Stephen Sutton, architect. I also hold the architectural historian chair.
Oh, sorry,
And the legal?
Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the city attorney's office.
And we also have ARC staff, Dennis Fernandez, Ron Vila, Elaine Lund, Beverly Jusak, and obviously the attorney. So, okay.
At this time, this is, again, for the record, Kamaria Pettis-Mackel from the city attorney's office. At this time, can any of the commissioners, will the commissioners please state whether or not they have any conflicts of interest for any of the items that are listed on the agenda?
No conflicts.
Not I.
And for the record, I hear no comments in regards to that. Additionally, commissioners, can you please state on the record whether or not any of you have had any ex parte communication regarding any of the matters that are on the agenda?
No, ma'am.
No.
No, ma'am.
No.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dennis Fernandez, Architecture Review and Historic Preservation Manager. Item 5 does allocate some time for continuations. However, we have received no continuation requests for tonight, so the agenda is ready to move forward as presented. We do, however, need to do the swear-in, so anyone in the audience that is planning to testify today or present, please stand and raise your right hand, including staff.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be providing this evening is the truth and nothing but the truth?
And with that, I believe we're ready for our first case this evening.
Okay, the first case up is ARC 20-113, located at 506 East Amelia Avenue.
Good evening, Commissioners. Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. The first case here tonight is at 506 East Amelia Avenue, which is in the Tampa Heights Historic District. This application is for an addition to a non-contributing structure. This house that's on the site presently was built in 1995. So it's an infill project that was built to look like it would fit in with the neighborhood. However, it was built before the historic district was established. So if we can move to the overhead, please. Thank you. So this is the 1920 Sanborn map of the area showing the property in question in green. It's on Amelia Avenue there. Grove Avenue is to the east and Central Avenue to the west. You can see that there was a house on the site at that time, obviously not the one that's currently there. This is the current aerial. Again, on Amelia Avenue, you can see the proximity of the interstate just to the east beyond Grove Avenue. And then this is the front facade of the house. So you're looking north at the house in this picture. And then this is the west side of the house. And the east side, I believe the stairwell is in this side. We don't have a picture of the rear of the property here, but you do have in your packet, I believe, a copy of the drawings from when the house was built in the 90s so that you can see the elevations on those as well. So this is the property that is next door, I believe directly to the west. And then the house directly to the east. And then this is the house across the street on the south side of Amelia. In this photo, we're looking along Amelia Avenue to the west towards Central Avenue. And then here we're looking east along Amelia, so you can see the intersection with Grove Street ahead, and then the wall for the interstate just beyond that. So at this time, I'd like the applicant to come forward and make his presentation for the application this evening, and then I'll follow up with my staff report.
Hello, my name is Andres. I'm the contractor in charge for this project. Here showing you the site plan. We are building a master suite on the first elevation of the house with the master bath. It's going to be in the back of the house where you're looking here on the site plan. This is the front. It'll be in the back area, approaching the wall, and then extending the whole master suite to the master bath. I don't know if you can help me out zooming the wall. Should be in this area here. We're pretty much matching the same thing the house is being built right now. It's a wood frame, siding, wood windows. We're doing the soffit, the same thing, butts, soffit with the 12 by 12 ventilations. Same shingles, same color. It's not really nothing that we can change from the house it is right now to make it the same look. I can follow up in here with some of the elements that we've been installing. That's a window itself, which is going to be on the whole exterior on the addition. We have the siding that's being used to match the existing one. We are showing the door that's going to be on the back of the house going to the backyard. It's a full side door. And let me see. I can show you this page. It will be pretty much showing here the system in the house and the proposal, which is coming right now as it is, the kitchen in here, and then how we're spending the floor plan. When you're coming out, you got a bedroom here with the closet, bathroom, and the shower room. That will be the addition on the back of the house. The city was requested to do the concrete driveway, which is going to be located on this side. With this right now, it's a shell driveway. We're removing that and doing 9 feet all the way to the street with a new apron, concrete, so we can match the rest of the house. And this is it.
Okay, did you have any renderings to place up? I noticed that there were some in the packet,
Randy, what were your,
so that we are able to see actually how the addition interacts with the current structure?
so this, like this one here?
Yes, but you have one with like the front elevation, side, rear, and then the other side.
Okay, we got. This is the house as is right now.
Oh, okay.
It's not, on the new plan, not showing the front because we're not working on the front, we're working on the back. So the house as it is right now, you see the front, you got the back area, which is right here, and this is the space that we're spending on this area. So this window will go away, we have an opening, and that's where the master bedroom is kind of continue on this part. So if you're looking out these two pictures,
Yes. Okay.
so when you're coming out, when you look in the house on the back in the house, it will be an extension on this part. That's your front. So on the back in the house, on the left side where the kitchen would be right here, that's the kitchen, and that's the living room right now. We'll be expanding this room, the two windows, this door,
Okay.
on the back in the house.
Excuse me, just for the record, if you're pointing to the document that's on the left side, the commission did not see what you were pointing to. You need to pan out on the.
Okay,
on the,
so this is the back in the house where we're gonna be opening the wall.
Again, yeah, where you're pointing is not picking up on
You
our
have to zoom
screen.
out from the.
Oh,
That's
There you go.
okay.
you see and learning now.
On the
Sorry.
big screen, what
Now
we
you
can
see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. So this is the back in the house, showing where we be cutting the wall to do the master suite with the bathroom. And if you're looking at right now, the elevation on the sides, on this, this is the front, and it will be sticking out on this part of the house.
Okay.
Would be this part. So when you look in the house on the back, if you look in the house on the back as it is, and how it will be.
Okay.
The same thing, the size. That's what you see it now. That's what will be here. You're looking on the back on the sides, and you're looking on the back.
Okay, great. Well, if you're completed, the staff will present their staff report.
Commissioners, staff did find that the application was consistent with the Tampa Heights design guidelines, and that this is a non-contributing, non-historic building, and the addition does not affect the original appearance of the house from the visible elevations. However, we had some conditions that were included in the staff report, namely that the addition would need to be a little more in line with the form of the original structure. Looking at things like the roof slope and the window sizes, for example, certain items need to be a little more compatible with the original design. Additionally, I noticed when the applicant was showing the exterior wall material that it appeared as if it was grained, and I don't have a close-up enough photo to know whether or not that is the case on the existing siding. It should be hardy material. That's what was shown on the prior plans for the building. But the addition would need to match. So if it's smooth siding, it needs to be the smooth side. So I'm available if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Great. Now we will open the hearing up to public comment. Anyone? Okay, now we'll bring it back to the commissioners to ask questions. So starting on my left with Mr. Sutton.
I have no question at this time, sir.
Could you pull the existing and proposed elevations for the rear? So it looks like the window sizes on the 3 elevations, you're proposing 3 new window sizes, and then the 4th would be the existing window. Is it possible to keep the window sizes more consistent with the existing structure?
This, we can, I mean, this is kind of petition of the owner, but I can follow up with that and asking, do we want to keep it the same sizes?
Yeah, so it looks like one of them, at least one of them is
Like
probably
this one
in
is
the
the small
bathroom.
one, because this one is the kind of the bathroom one.
Sure.
So that's the small one. And you got this one gonna be right in the living room, which is be on that side.
Right, so the one that you're pointing at now and the one on the new structure, is there a way to keep them in
Yeah, definitely.
consistent
Sure.
sizes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then did you show the roof slope of the new structure?
The new slope of the new structure is,
I can see that it's written on there, but I can't see that small.
we're going at 312. And the reason we're going at 312 because we don't want to interfere with the window
The new window.
on the
Oh.
second floor. If we make it
Okay.
higher, so we're going to be cutting the whole back in the house on the floor. So we had to make a little lower slope.
And will you have any lighting in the new deck?
Like on the exterior lighting or interior lighting?
Exterior?
The only thing I mean, this is your exterior, this is your electrical plan. The only thing we have any is 3 lights on the porch.
Wall-mounted lights or
Yeah,
recessed?
wall-mounted lights. I don't have a picture of that yet, so,
Okay.
but yeah.
So,
It'll be matching whatever she has on the front of the
on the
house.
front? Okay. No further questions.
I had similar questions. So the slope, what is the slope of the existing house roof?
For the plan, it's showing 412 in one, 412 in one area and 612 in the other one. So the lower part of the house is 412 and the higher part is 612.
And you're saying that you can't match that? with
I
your
can't
numbers?
because if you're looking this part of the slope, we're going right below the window. The second floor will be this window.
Unless you change the entire shape of the roof.
Yeah, so it'll be, I mean, the whole window had to change and, you know.
And do any of the sizes of the new proposed windows match any of the existing?
Everything
window
match.
sizes?
These two are following what this have. This one here is the bathroom one. That one is the one that I believe is not, but we can adjust it to be the same thing like everywhere else.
So the bathroom one matches the other bathroom?
Yeah, the bathrooms
ones?
would be, if you look in the bathrooms part, the window of the
Yeah.
bathroom is right here,
Okay.
so it's right above the
And
top.
does the siding, does the existing house have smooth siding? And does this
It
one
have,
have?
it been painted so many times, but it have the little lines on it.
It has grain?
Yeah, it got
And then
grain
what
on it.
you're proposing matches that?
Yeah, we're matching the same.
And it's
I mean,
hardy board?
Hardy board.
Okay. Okay. And there's no way you think you can make the, well, I'll just, those are my questions. Thank you.
And I can find it with architects if we can make it slow different, but I know we're working with the window.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay, I do not have any questions. Any additional questions? Last call. Okay, the applicant is allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal. Would you like your 5 minutes for a rebuttal? Okay, so at this time, we will close the public hearing and the commissioners can discuss the case, starting on my right.
I don't really have anything. It looks good to me,
Okay?
pretty consistent.
I have an issue with the roof slope. I think it doesn't, it makes the whole thing not match the rest of the house. I agree on changing the one window that's wider and proportionally doesn't match the rest.
Okay. Anyone else?
All the way this way?
Sure.
I think this is a quite acceptable, modest addition to a modest house. I have no problem in asking staff to coordinate final details for a number of things, finish of the exterior components, doors, windows, lights, but I think this is entirely on the right track.
Any other comments? I agree with the slope. Obviously, the windows being consistent. Defer to staff for the lighting on the exterior. And that's all I had. So, can I entertain a motion, or I can entertain a motion, if anyone has one?
I move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 20-113 for the property located at 506 East Amelia Avenue with the following conditions: that the hardware, lighting, and siding be approved by staff. Because based upon the findings of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Tampa Heights design guidelines of the city of Tampa for the following reasons: the massing, scale, and proportion are consistent with the guidelines.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Carries. Okay, on to our next case. ARC 20-155, 1715 West Hills Avenue.
Thank you. I'm Ron Vila. I'm staff with Historic Preservation. This request is in the Hyde Park Historic District. The primary structure is a contributing structure that dates back to 1922. The underlying zoning is RS 60. The request in front of you this evening is for a northeast side yard setback reduction from 7 to 2, and for new construction for a pool. You usually don't see a lot of pools. That's an administrative function that we do on a weekly basis internally. But since there's a variance attached to that, it's got to come to the board, and that's why you're seeing this one here. So briefly to go through the photos. We could zoom in a little bit, please.
You have it on the side, to the left.
Moving forward, the property is highlighted in the green box here. It does face Hills Avenue. There's an alley that runs to the rear of the property. If you look at the parcel, you have the front yard, you have the vehicular access down the side, you have an accessory structure in the north corner. You have a rear yard, a small rear yard, and then you have the side yard. The request is to have that pool on this side over here, which is the east side. This is an aerial. Once again, you're facing Hills, the primary structure. This is the contributing structure. You have a small accessory structure in the rear, and then you see the canopy of the tree here, and that's going to come into play through the discussion. This is the 1922 Craftsman style home. This is the front elevation. To the west side, you have the access leading to the rear. Looking at that west side, this is just breaking down some of the features that the house has. And down that vehicular access, it dives into the accessory structure. This is the east side. And some of the surrounding properties. This is to the west, abutting to the east. This is off the alley, showing you the tree and the proximity from the tree to the rear of the structure. And just another shot of the tree and showing how the location is close to the property line. I wanted to go through the site plan with you, just briefly. The request is from 7 foot to 2 foot. Pools by code can be 5 foot to the property line. So that's here. The horizontal dimensional requirement. and then the request in front of you this evening is that the water's edge is only 2 foot. Why he had to request from 7 foot is because he had to meet primary structure setbacks. At the time that we took this in, the pool from grade possibly could be 12 inches or above, because he might have to bring fill in for the tree roots that are there. So if the pool is at 12 inches from grade or above, you have to request primary structure setbacks. So that's why it's from 7 to 2 instead of from 5 to 2 as the pool code reads. So I'll be here to answer any questions. At this time, the owner is going to address the board.
We on? Okay. David Wick, owner, 1715 West Hills. Here's the site plan. Would you like me to read the response questions?
Sure.
I think as for.
For this
as it
specific
applies
one
to the
to-
hardship, yes.
Okay, all right, great. So I'll do that as I'm showing the site survey. What I have here is question 1. Looking for the new construction pool, as Ron said, for the variance side yard, northeast reduction from the 7 down to the 2 foot, code section 27-290.3. Response to question 1, the alleged hardship. The hardship is unique, singular, and requires a variance due to a grand oak tree location at an existing side driveway, no other viable location on the lot. And this is where that tree is located here, and I have some photos for that. Question 2, it is our intent to preserve the grand oak tree and work with the only location on the property suitable for a pool. Response to question 3, this variance, if granted, would not adversely affect any of the adjacent neighbors or be visible to any neighborhood owners or visitors in the neighborhood. Question 4, the harmony question. This variance would be in harmony with the historical vernacular and ensure the preservation of the grand oak tree, as well as allowing for the full enjoyment of the owner's home. And question 5, it is the owner's intent to have the full same enjoyment of the property as their neighbors possess. And finally, question 6, the owners are committed to their stewardship, preserving the natural surroundings, and maintaining the historical 1920s bungalow architecture. Okay. What I have here is I've got some photos of the tree. Okay. I don't know if we can see that. Put this up at the same location here. Okay, and what we're looking at is we're right here in this location on this covered porch here. This is where the tree is located on the site. This is the side yard where we're going to be locating it, looking forward. This is a shot from the tree base, excuse me, looking forward to that fence that Ron showed you from the front elevation. Here's a shot back at where the pool location would be, looking back at that tree, right? Here's the staked proposed location of that pool. Here it is from the other location, looking back at the Grand Oak. Here are some renderings. We had a pool contractor put in. I'm going to bring this plan up here as well. I think this will help us. Can everybody see that? This is the new location of the pool, designed in, blending in, showing the 2-foot setback as well as the 3'6" off the foundation wall, and then transitioning into the existing covered porch and running the decking into there at that same level across. That's from the Grand Oak side. And this is just a top down. Okay. And then here's the actual pool, proposed pool design. You can see that we have, let me see if I can get both of these on here at the same time. We've maintained, in this drawing here with the landscape architect, we had it at 26, but we've actually accommodated 20 foot 9 inches. So we've been able to achieve the location of the pool and not disturb the roots of the tree and still be able to have that full canopy over, as well as be able to maintain the setback off of the foundation with a fully integrated seat that allows us to preserve that full stem wall foundation and get to as close to the house as possible without reinforcing that bottom foundation wall on that angle of repose there. But then allows us to have a 9-foot wide, basically a lap pool, running the distance of that adjacent lot line and being 2 feet off with a wood deck surround. I believe that's it. Any questions?
Great, thank you. Now
Yep.
staff will present their staff report.
Commissioners, he opened up the variance and the C8 together on this small request, so I would ask you to discuss the variance first, vote on the variance, and if the variance gets approved, then move forward on the certificate of appropriateness. Just to provide you with additional information, that Natural Resources did go out, they evaluated the location of the pool, and this meets their criteria. Other locations were looked at, a little closer to the tree, and the protective radius that he provided today, they're comfortable with.
So now we will open up the meeting to public comment. Seeing none, now the commissioners will ask questions, starting on my left.
Sir, if you could please bring up your site plan again. Where do you intend to have installed your pool equipment?
My pool equipment will be here. So here's our site survey here. Here's the existing AC. There's also an existing gas meter here that we've already had TECO out and assessed that it can be moved forward to allow for that. Mechanicals to be moved forward here. And then we'll be providing screening of all the mechanicals here and the pool equipment here.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
I don't have any either.
Okay.
I have a question for staff. With this pool configuration, would that actually, with the deck and all, take the tree out of the equation? Would it fit and meet the setbacks and requirements in the rear yard if that tree was not there? Just to make
The
sure.
pool location, you could put a pool anywhere on your parcel as long as from the property line to the water's edge is 5 foot. So if the tree wasn't there, he could put it in the rear.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is this 5 feet from the property line?
No, and that is what the variance request is for.
It's 2 feet
It's
from
2
the property
feet.
line. The variance is from
7 to 2 feet.
7 feet to 2 feet because the pool is a foot or something above the ground because of the roots.
Top of grade.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners?
Do you want to make a motion?
Well, the applicant is allowed for rebuttal first.
No rebuttal.
Okay, now I will close it for public hearing, and we can discuss the case, or if there's no discussion, make a motion.
Make a motion. Let me go back to the front. I will move that variance request for case ARC 1715 for property ARC 20-155 for property located at 1715 West Hills Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a variance of northeast side yard reduction setback from 7 feet to 2 feet based upon the petitioner meeting the burden of proof with regard to the 6 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-114D of the City of Tampa Code of Ordinances for granting variances stated and the evidence provided in this public hearing, specifically that the Grand Oak tree on his property that is unique to his property is prohibiting them from putting their pool in the backyard, and the only location that is available is the side yard.
All in favor?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second the motion.
Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the next item, ARC 20.
We have to do
sorry,
a
Madam
certificate
Commissioner,
of
we still-
appropriateness.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Certificate of appropriateness. Go ahead.
Oh, we saw everything, do we?
First, this,
Now we
did you
want
have
to
a
do the
separate photo
appropriateness.
essay, or should the applicant just present the case?
He presented everything, a combination of the
Okay.
CA and the variant, so you're ready to make a motion.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion?
I can make a motion. Let me find it. I will move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 20-155 for the property located at 1715 West Hills Avenue, because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Hyde Park Historic District Design Guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that the pool in this location does not, it's not visible from the road, it's consistent with the Hyde Park Design Guidelines.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're moving on to ARC 20-158, 3006 North Morgan Street.
Commissioners, Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. The application before you at 3006 North Morgan Street, ARC 20-158, is located in the Tampa Heights Historic District. The request is for new construction on a vacant lot. Gonna- There we go. Make sure I got a, there we are. Now can this zoom out now?
There we go. It was starting to focus.
Okay. I'll just,
There, it's going. It's focused.
Looks good.
Zoomed in, but it's focused.
can I get the really Commissioners, give me just one moment, please.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the 1920s Sanborn map of this portion of Tampa Heights. This is pretty close to the north end of the historic district. You see Adderley is one of the more northern streets in the district there. And on the west side, you have the red line showing the boundary of the historic district, and just to the west of the properties, that way is Florida Avenue. So Morgan Street, and we have Florabraska Avenue just to the south there. So this property on Morgan Street is currently vacant, although there was a house there in the 1920s. You can see that an alley runs along the north side of the property. This is the present-day aerial of the site. You can see that it is vacant. Additionally, you see that the property to the south appears vacant, and that is no longer the case. So this is looking west at the subject site from Morgan Street. And then this is the new construction that's that's just been completed, actually, on the directly to the south of the subject site. And then this is a view of the alley, just to the north of the site. This house is located just to the north of the alley on Morgan Street. And this is across the street on Morgan, on the east side of Morgan. This photo is looking south on Morgan Street, looking toward Florabraska. There's also some more recent construction on the corner there, that blue house. And in this photo, we are looking north toward Adderley. We have a few photos in here of the alley running north of the property here. I believe this is the adjacent site to the, just to the west. This is looking at the northern parcel from the alley. So you see the south side of that house. And here we are looking along the alley toward Florida Avenue. And we have one more shot here looking east along the alley back toward Morgan Street. So at this time, I'd like to request that the applicants go ahead and make their presentation.
Got it, test? No. Good evening, Commissioners. Thanks for having me. Fred Henry, 5703 South McDill Avenue, Domain Homes, Inc. I have not been sworn yet, please. I do. Thank you very much. Well, I'm actually going to work in partnership with Pete Shoup here, our Director of Construction. I'm more the site plan person, so I'll just kind of go through that and appreciate staff's input. What you've gotten here, and you saw the vacant site in front of you. Oh, thank you. So there's Morgan, north that direction there is the alley we spoke of. That's a 15-foot alley per plat. Here's a house oriented towards North Morgan Street. In the rear, we've got basically a proposed concrete parking pad, if you will, with just the typical flares coming off the alley. In the rear, we built a couple of these, and they look great from the curb. Speaking of, there was a condition in the questions regarding curb and sidewalk. If there's any damage to the sidewalk or curbing that we need to address or replace, we'll take care of that while we're there, of course. Really, that's about it with the site plan. Open front porch, concrete walk, scoring on there. Really, it fits a lot well, and neighbors are excited to get that alley filled in next door. And I'm available for any questions you may have, and I appreciate your time and consideration.
Test. Pete Shoup, Director of Construction for Domain Homes. I'd like to present the plans and specs for the home with some photos as well. I've been sworn in. Looking at our architectural drawings, we have our front elevation, hardy siding, scallop on the gable, functional vents. The left elevation, the right elevation, and the last, the rear elevation. Our wall section, this is a stem wall foundation construction. Our window detail, and our proposed rafter, open tail rafter conditions as well. I'm going to show a few of elevations of a home that we've currently already built in the area, not too far away, actually. This one shows a porte-cochere on the side, which is this house does not have, but the other house will on our second presentation. This is the side and rear elevation. The rear elevation. And our right rear elevation. Going down the list, we have our roofing material, which is dimensional asphalt shingles, depicted here. That's on the lower roof and also consistent with the upper roof as well. Overhangs, rafters, and soffits. This is a 2-foot overhang soffit with open tail rafters, pressure-treated dropped rafters with a beadboard showing for the soffit itself. Just a few more pictures to show the open rafters as well. A little bit closer. The next item to be discussed is the exterior wall materials, and this is our siding that we're going to use. It's a smooth, hardy siding. Additional exterior materials would be the column with our cut brick. Entryway with the welcome walls, poured concrete caps, cut brick, steps, of course. Exterior walls showing utility locations with AC and electrical breaker panel. Our front door in question is a Plas-Pro glass insert with side lights. Picture showing a double window. Single. We're going to use this one again. Foundation and foundation enclosures. This is depicting our piers, our cut brick piers, and the foundation enclosure itself is going to be a stucco finish. The hardware that's consistent with the home is here, and I've also have another picture that's going to show the hardware itself alone, kind of a better picture. The mailbox we intend to use. And the light fixture we intend to use. This light fixture will be located in the rear of the home by that side door. We've also brought along some samples of what we're depicted to put on the house, the cut brick. This is the trim material for the windows, and it is 5/4 thick. And that goes all around the windows. There's one difference about the windows that the sill is actually 1.5 inches thick. Siding material. Guess you want to see it kind of like that. And we brought a full-size window. It's a vinyl clad window that we intend to use on the entire home. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the staff presentation of the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioners. Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. We found this application to be consistent with the Tampa Heights Design Guidelines. As the applicants noted, this product has been constructed in the neighborhood, in the historic district particularly, at least a couple of times before. So staff is familiar with it. We have reviewed these plans multiple times, and because we keep reviewing them, that's the only reason we have any additional comments, really. There were a couple of notes on some of the details in the plans that we've through our experience with the construction process and inspection process and staff visits to the site during construction, there are just some things that can be, sort of interpreted one way or another. So we're requesting that the details be clarified to be more specific. So other than that, I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll open it up to public comment. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commissioners to ask questions, this time starting on my right.
Okay. I'll just go through some of those details that they noted. But other than that, I don't have any questions. So they just wanted the correct note on the detail of the outrigger configuration at drop tables on your sheet 3A4. They want that to match the note on section AA so that it reads beadboard wood only, paint grade, unattached to underside of structural outrigger.
We can do that.
Got all that?
We have a note in there that speaks to that, but we can definitely make that match, where a little more clarity on that.
Yeah, right there. Okay, thank you. And then the starter detail shown above the brick veneer on the wall detail, and I think on that same sheet, it should be shown running above all sections of the brick veneer on the elevations.
Would you like that noted on there? I know we have it on the side detail, and Pete and I visited that today. Dennis, did you want that noted on there as a note to the side? It's kind of hard to show that detail. We do have a side view, though. That's right here, Pete.
Yeah, the way it actually gets constructed is, I believe, appropriate. It's just the way it's drawn on the plans that it's a little not there, but on the elevations.
We'll see if we can work with the architect and get a little more clear on that for you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You bet.
This is what you're speaking of, Elaine? This
Yes.
is the 5-quarter that runs across and transitions the brick, the stucco, and the siding?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Go along with that, too, just appreciate staff's input, as this is, we love working with staff on these projects, and they're so helpful, and want to let them know, and during a previous meeting, we did pick up to enlarge that cap on the columns. Appreciate the suggestion on that. We've already adjusted that on this detail, which you'll see poured concrete cap with 2-inch reveal, so appreciate that input.
I don't have any questions. Nice presentation. Thank you.
Will you be screening the AC and electrical equipment
Yes, ma'am.
with what material?
We've actually, usually it's landscape. This, and on the site plan, you'll have it noted, proposed vegetative buffer, usually with some kind of shrubbery, whatever is in season, of course, it makes sense for the area and the climate.
Thank you.
You bet.
I find this to be a relatively nicely put-together package for this dwelling. I wish to thank you all very much. We rarely get a presentation regarding the details and materials of these buildings in such a comprehensive manner.
Sure appreciate that.
Okay, I have a question for staff, and it relates to the repetition of design. So, do you all have any concerns with a design being repeated several times in the same neighborhood?
Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. You do see that from the historic period.
Okay.
Sometimes you would see maybe like a couple or 2 or 3 houses in a row that were the same plan, but would have details on them that differentiated them.
Okay. Also, can the applicants please show, again, which side will be fronting the alley on the actual house photos that you had?
Absolutely. Yeah, this one you're going to look at is got the porte cochere, but this will be a right elevation. We'll get the drawing out for you too and show you.
Thank you.
It'd be this. Let me get this over here. Excuse my. There we go. So right elevation here is what you'll see on the alley. We did put the AC on the left-hand side, not so it wouldn't be exposed on the alley side, make it a little nicer.
Okay, great. That's all the questions I had. Any other questions by commissioners?
Yes, I do. Considering this is a highly accessible corner, if you will, is there any intention to have any fencing on this project?
Good question. I'll defer that to Pete.
We, as the builder, don't have a fence in the project right now, but the homeowner who purchases the house may intend to put a fence on that property, though.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other
And
questions?
that said, with the fence, before I forget, I know that has to go through the folks with staff on the fence, and we'll instruct the owners of the property to make sure they run that past, you know, the staff before they pick a fence out for that.
Any additional questions by commissioners? Okay, so the applicant has 5 minutes for rebuttal if you would like to use that.
No, we're good. Thank you for taking the time.
Okay, thank you. So we'll close the public hearing at this time. and
Madam Chair, just one moment. I
Yes.
wanted to go ahead and enter into the record an affidavit to authorize agent that was submitted to our office today, changing the original agent to Mr. Shoup. That is Exhibit B, affidavit to authorize agent that was submitted into the record for this case.
Thank you, sir. So at this time, we will be closing the public hearing, and now the commissioners can discuss the case. We closed the public hearing. That's right.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I just didn't know if we asked for public comment.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I don't have anything.
I have no comments.
Any comments on this side?
None.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Let me find it. I will move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 20-158 for the property located at 3006 North Morgan Street. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Tampa Heights Historic District design guidelines of the city of Tampa in proportion, materials, siting on the property.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next case, ARC 20-161. Oh, I'm sorry. ARC 159, my apologies, 515 East Hugh Street.
Again, Commissioners, Elaine Lund. This is another application in the Tampa Heights Historic District for new construction on a vacant site. Before we get into it any further, I will go ahead and enter into the record that we did receive the affidavit to authorize agent Exhibit B, allowing Pete Shoup to make part of the presentation today. So this particular site is, I would venture to say it has been vacant for quite a while. It is located at the northeast corner of the Tampa Heights Historic District at the very end of Hugh Street, where it intersects Elmore. You'll see in the photos that follow that there's not an actual functioning intersection at that site. So this is the Sanborn map from the 1920s era showing the septic site in green. You can see there was a residence on that property at the time. Sorry, this is so jumpy. Okay, so it's 515 Hughes Street. You can see Central Avenue to the west and Elmore to the east. The red line there that's running along Elmore and up to Adderley above is showing you where the district boundaries are. This is the present-day aerial photograph of the property. You can see its proximity to the interstate there, and the interstate exit ramp is actually showing labeled pretty well on this particular map. So the exit from the interstate, if you're southbound, merges with Elmore Avenue at that point. This is looking at the subject site from Hugh Street. And a little closer, past the large trees that are in the front there. This is, again, the subject site. If you go just to the west, this is the house next door, which was rehabilitated a few years ago. This is the property across the street on the north side of Hugh. In this photo, we are looking west towards Central Avenue. The subject site would be to your left. And in this photo, we are looking east toward Elmore and the interstate beyond that. So you can see how the intersection is not functional. And then this view is looking at the subject site from Elmore. So we're sort of taking a sort of southwesterly view of it here. And in this photo, we are looking north on Elmore. You can see where the exit ramp is coming from the interstate there. And then here we're looking south on Elmore toward the intersection at Florabraska Avenue. So at this time, we'll have the agent present the application.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Fred Henry, 5703 South McDowell Avenue, Domain Homes, Inc., and I have been sworn. And I'm just going to run the site plan down real quick, and I'll toss it to Pete here. But basically, this is the same one you saw previously at Morgan, with the exception of the porte-cochere, as Pete spoke to. The difference on this one is that we've actually got the porto on the left-hand side of the property, on the street side, because it's kind of a busy street, and give a little bit of a buffer there. You'll notice the basically we've got a few trees coming out. We've already visited with Natural Resources. We're excited for this project to get going, clean up that corner like Elaine was saying. It has been vacant for some time. I will point out, and you saw in the picture, there's an existing concrete apron near the back of the property. We're going to remove that and restore the right-of-way back to the way it was supposed to be, which is a grass area down there. You did see the handrail here, metal guardrail. Transportation to wait in for a design exception for the corner clearance, but obviously you can't access that for obvious reasons, so that won't be an issue. The city has put new sidewalks out in this area, which is exciting. I just want to let staff know briefly that one of the camphor trees in the picture that was shown has been removed by the city, so we'll note that on going forward for our permit. And I'm available for any questions you may have. I appreciate your time and consideration.
This one's going to be a little bit easier. It's the same house, same plan, except it has the porte-cochere on it. And that porte-cochere is listed shown here. This one is it's on the right-hand side of the house. On Morgan Street, it will be on the left-hand side of the house, as Fred explained. The front elevation showing the porte-cochere on the left-hand side of the home. This is the left elevation. And the rear. This detail shows the lanai porch on the rear of the home. Side elevation, the rear elevation. Our wall section. window wall trim detail, exposed rafter detail condition, and of course our outrigger configuration. The rear elevation, or the side rear elevation, the rear elevation again. The right rear showing, this will be actually the left rear, but this shows the porte cochere from the rear side. Roofing material will be the dimensional asphalt shingles. Our overhang soffit, 24 inches with the beadboard and open tail rafters. The smooth finish lap siding. Columns up front with, this is actually the porte cochere itself. Cars inside of here, 3 columns on the outside. These are permacast columns. They're actually extremely smooth. Cut brick below. Our entryway, you've seen these. Front door, windows, all the trim on the windows is 5/4 except for the sill, and underneath the sill is quarter round. Foundation, enclosure, piers, mailbox. Door hardware, and last but not least, light fixture. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Now staff will present their staff report.
Commissioner, staff finds this application consistent with the Tampa Heights design guidelines. As with the prior case, I had the same couple of notes about clarifying the details on the drawings. The other one item I would like to note is that the Tampa Heights design guidelines call for new construction on corner properties, rather, to have a wraparound porch. In this particular instance, with the intersection not being particularly functional or pedestrian friendly, and since the application does include a porte cochere along the street side, we feel that porte cochere serves as a very nice buffer for the house at that location in lieu of the porch. Okay. And if you have any other questions, I'm available. Thank you.
Great. Now we will open up the hearing to public comment. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commissioners for questions, starting on my left.
Again, a fence question. The adjacent roadway, which is basically an on-off ramp for the highway, is a very heavily trafficked area. It's still, at this point in time, no fences is included as part of a buffer or separation from that public way. Is that correct?
That is correct, not at this time.
Thank you very much.
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
I have no questions either.
Wow, I do not either. So you have a 5-minute rebuttal.
I have no rebuttal.
Okay.
Thank
so
you,
we're
Commissioners.
Yes, thanks. So now we'll close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or motion.
I have no comment.
No comment?
You want me to make a motion? Okay. Let me try this. Okay. I move to grant the certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC 20-159 for the property located at 515 East Hughes Street. Because based upon the finding of facts, the proposed project is consistent with the Tampa Heights Historic District design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons. As it nicely fits in with the scale and massing and the facade proportions and windows and everything with the area.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, ARC 20-161, 803 South Fremont Avenue.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ron Vila, staff of the Historic Preservation. So the primary structure was constructed in 1925 in the Hyde Park Historic District. It is a contributing structure. There is currently a detached structure there. It's a shed. It is non-contributing, and as part of this request, staff has already reviewed that, and that structure can be demoed administratively, and the location for the new accessory structure will be in approximately that same location. The request in front of you this evening is for a certificate of appropriateness for an accessory structure. It's a two-story craftsman-style structure. This is looking at the Sanborn map from 1929. The property does face Fremont, which runs north and south. It dead ends to Inman to the north. To the south, you have Bristol, and what was in 1929 was the railroad spur that ran behind or to the rear of this property. Current overhead shows the period contributing primary structure. There's a detached accessory structure to the rear, and then it abuts, their rear property line abuts into the Crosstowns property. This is the Craftsman style home that has a side entrance. It's a unique feature with a small porch. This is looking down the north side of the property. Very period appropriate apron and ribbons leading to the rear. On that north elevation, you have a double gable that has a little recess. This is moving to the rear of the property. This is the shed that sits on some sleepers there. This is the other side of the property, which is the south side, that also has that notch in the facade. Moving to the windows. The installation is that the trim is applied over the siding, so you get that nice shadow. The windows are a multi-pane over a single. This is a 4/1 wood window. You see the corner board to the left over here. Moving to the exposed rafter tails and the notch fascia board. This is the gable into the house that has the vent and the outriggers that will be replicated on the accessory structure. This is the abutting house to the north. This is the abutting to the south, which is more of a traditional application with the apron, the ribbons, dying into the detached accessory structure, two-story structure. And at this time, that concludes my photo presentation, and I have the owner address the board. Thank you.
Actually, I'm not sure that that's actually on.
Testing.
There you go.
Thank you. Marco Suarez, homeowner, 803 South Fremont Avenue. Last name is Suarez. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But what my wife and I are trying to do is just build an accessory structure. We want to be able to get the best use of our property, and because we have growing boys, we've kind of outgrown the little shed that we have there. And so we're hoping to be able to build a garage that they can store the current items that we have in there, like bikes and that kind of stuff, as well as create a space that they can use outside and get out of the house so that we can have some peace in there. But we have some unique details. with this property. If you guys can zoom in on this original structure, or this site plan, our house butts up to the crosstown. So that's why this corner here is notched the way it is. That is our property line. It's not that, that we have any choice as to how the property is situated. But because of that, on this side here, where we want to build a garage in the exact same location as the shed, the garage hopefully will be notched as well. The reason that is because of the shape of our current roof, and we need to make sure that we have the 5-foot setbacks from eave to eave. So the best fit, because our lot is RS50, and we're allowed to potentially construct something as large as 750 square feet, this is going to be below that because of that notch, and so that we can get that roof overhang that we need. We would also like to redo the ribbons that are cracked and deteriorated, but we want to restore them to their original glory, if you will. And right here, where there used to be, actually, I can show you a little bit better here because there's no structure on there. This concrete is atypical. It's got a little hump to it and everything, so we want to just demo that and make it all smooth and a nice, easy transition. The next picture I'd like to show you is, like Ron had just showed you, the picture of the house. What we're trying to accomplish is replicate the pergola that we have here, the roof details, the outriggers, the vents and everything. Part of the reason why we love this neighborhood is the charm that it already had. So we tried to paint it a certain way so that you could see those details a lot better. And I'm going to show you the actual proposed structure so that you guys can see that we're trying to match that. I'd like you to call your attention to this right here, the front elevation, which would be, if I can put this right next to it, let me move this over for you, which would be right along this way here, and this would be at the end of the driveway. We want it to look like it's been there for the last 80 years. So we're trying to put the pergola on there. We want the same notch details of the roof. We want the same outriggers, the same vents, the same, if you can look here, actually, let me slide that down. This is a little notched right there. We even want that detail included, like I said, so that it looks like it's been there for a considerable amount of time. Here we're going to show on the elevation the height of the building. We want to be able to build it 22 feet up. I believe 22.6 to make sure that it's within the guidelines, but also it looks age appropriate because some people will kind of distort the original shape, and we're trying to maintain all of that. This is the left elevation, so this would be the side of the yard. If I can compare that to the site plan, it would be on this side. The left elevation, of course, the right elevation. Let me move this over for you. This would be the side that would be along, if I can compare here, along this edge here. Oh, let me bring that down. Along this edge here. Maybe if I can fold this, that'll make more sense. So the right elevation, this image here, let me move this up, would be this side. The rear elevation would actually face the crosstown, and this is the notch that I was referring to earlier. We weren't too concerned with putting more windows in the back, just because I don't want to look at the crosstown any more than I have to. We've kind of put plants back there to cover that up as much as we could, as well as trying to buffer some of the sound and the light. So we only put one window there because we do love some natural light, but we don't want to stare at the crosstown, of course. We're trying to continue on with the notched outriggers here and here to make sure they're symmetrical with what the house has, as well as with the stairs that we're putting in. We want it to match the same design as what we have in our home currently. So we're trying to make sure that they're just, I don't know the specific architectural terms, but they look just as chunky as the rest of the house, if that makes any sense. The next detail I'd like to show you would be the floor plan. First floor. So because I like to orientate everything so that it makes sense to me, I'm going to turn it this way just so that you understand this is the way the property faces with the rest of the site plan. This is the first level, the stairs that go up to the second level. There's the notch that I mentioned before. The second level, it's, we're hoping it has just a bar style sink, something real small, but that you can rinse out a cup of coffee if you need to. the one bedroom, the full bath. And this is the aforementioned small window that faces the crosstown there. Here is the roof detail. See if I can scoot that in there. How the trusses are going to be engineered, how everything is going to lay on the first floor for the wood floor trusses that are going to make that first level for us, as well as the floor for the second floor, and then this is how the roof is going to be designed. That's the notch that I was referring to earlier that would match the existing home. For this detail, I like to turn it this way, even though it would make it difficult to read, just because it matches the same layout on the site plan. Everything I'm hoping is going to match with the foundation, how it's going to be. It's going to be on a slab. It won't be above ground because it is a garage. To compare to the, the original floor plan here, or the original elevations, the proposed elevations, this is what I'd like the garage door to be. We're hoping to use a Clopay style garage door so that it looks like period accurate as well as functional. It'll have the same amount of side lights as the design that we're picking here. I've got an image of the cross section of the garage door, again through Clopay, excuse me. They've got a unique setup where we can pick different designs. Again, I'm trying to pick the same amount of lights so that it would match the original designs. The garage doors even have certain details that I'd like to call to your attention. The strap hinges that are, they're more decorative than anything else, but like I said, we wanted to look like the house has been there for years. We're going to do wood windows in the home, and so these are a cross-section of the wood windows. When we did our last edition, we put in double pane, double hung windows, and they work really well with some of the buffering of the sound, so we wanted to make sure that we did that, especially because this structure is going to be that much closer to the crosstown. And then the doors, there are going to be two doors in the structure, one down below and one above. And we picked this style because we currently have that on our home right now. And this is the rear door of our home. And so that's why I chose this style to kind of match it as much as I could. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's staff's turn to present the staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ron Vila. Marco and myself have been working on this project from the beginning of this year, and through the condition that we're in, it kept on getting continued. So we made some modifications along the way. We had one concern about the location of the mechanicals. He had it on the north side of the structure, and it was within the setback, and it did not meet code, so he relocated it, and today he showed that it is under the stairs. So that's one of the concerns that we had, that he reflected on his drawings. Other than that, staff feels that this application is consistent with the Hyde Park Design Guidelines.
Great, thank you. Now we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wanting to speak? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commissioners to ask questions, starting on my right.
I don't have any questions.
I had a couple minor questions. The windows themselves, or the pattern on the glass?
We want it to be four lights over one, exactly.
Okay, perfect. The roofing, is it going to match the house?
Absolutely. We want the same asphalt shingles,
Okay.
the same pitch as the home, as well as when we were designing it, the draftsman had it off, and I said that this just doesn't look symmetrical.
Doesn't
So
look
we
right.
raised the
Yeah.
roof, actually. We raised the ceilings and the roof just so that we could maintain the proper pitch.
Awesome.
The side, we're not going to build the siding itself out of
Mm-hmm.
wood because it's, you know, we've got lots of termites in South Tampa, and so we're hoping to just do the smooth hardy plank on the
Smooth hardy
side.
plank.
The structure will be framed in wood, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The windows will be wood here. If I can zoom in a little bit, we're trying to maintain the details that I mentioned before. Yeah,
Right,
thank
the
you.
notched wrap
Yeah,
details.
exactly. I think I can
Yeah.
move that over just a little bit, and then it'll
And you're
focus.
matching the detailing of the wood around the window where the top piece kind of
Absolutely,
extends
absolutely.
past the sides.
If you'd like, I can show you
I
the
saw it on
elevation
your
again.
elevations. It was small, but I saw it.
But yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a quick question on the left elevation.
Yes, let me pull that up for you.
I just wanted to make sure that there's not a conflict between the first-story window and the stairs.
So the first story window and the stairs. The way it's shown here, there is going to be a little separation here. I don't know why he overlooked that detail when he did it. The window will be functioning, it's not going to be.
So the stairs won't hit the...
Exactly, yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense, absolutely.
Perfect. And then I just had one very small comment on the first floor restroom.
Sure.
Outside of this, you might want to consider turning the toilet just like you have it on the second floor, and that's just
Okay.
for your...
Does it make the
internal-
plumbing a little bit easier as well?
Yes, and you
Okay.
won't walk it right into a toilet.
Okay, thank you.
You got it on the second floor. I think that you'll
Okay.
prefer it.
Thanks.
I have no comment.
I do have one question. What is the house height in comparison to this height? I think the peak was 22.6.
Of the garage, correct.
Yes, and
But
what's
the
the
peak
house height?
of the house, honestly, I don't know.
Okay. Will it, I guess that maybe staff knows, will it be the same height as the house, shorter than the house?
It should definitely be shorter.
The
Just
primary
making
structure is a
sure.
one-story structure.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So
Yes,
there's
okay.
examples of primary structures one story, and then you have the detached structure that's two-story
Yeah.
structure.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal if you would like.
No rebuttals, no comments.
Okay, great. Now we'll close the public hearing, and if the commissioners would like to discuss the case or provide a motion.
I move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing, ARC 20-161, for the property located at 803 South Fremont Avenue, because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Hyde Park Historic District design guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons. The alignment, rhythm, and materials are consistent with the guidelines.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you so much for your
I don't know
time.
why you were nervous. You did a great job.
Okay, next case, ARC 20-181, 5002 North Swanee Avenue.
Commissioners, Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. This application at 5002 North Swanee Avenue, case ARC 20-181, is located in the Seminole Heights Historic District. This particular property was vacant in the 1920s, as you will see when we get the Sanborn map up, but the building that is there now is a ranch-style house that was built in 1953. It is located at the northwest corner of Sewanee Avenue and Violet Street. So here's our present-day aerial photograph of the site. This is zoomed in a little closer than the previous Sanborn map was, but you have Florida Avenue one block to the west of there. You can see the red line is where Florida Avenue is. So the buildings that are located along Florida Avenue, there are commercial structures, and everything to the east is, of course, residential. So this is looking at the subject property from Sewanee Avenue. So this is the east side of the house. This is the north side of the house. You can note the pretty minimal details, minimal overhang on this house. And then we have the south side of the house, so this will be looking at it from Violet. This is the property just to the north of the subject site. And then looking across the street, These are the properties across the street. The subject site is a double platted lot. And then across Violet to the south is this structure. This shot is looking north on Sewanee. I believe the large tree on the upper left of that picture there is located on the subject site. And then if you turn around and look to the south, this is looking toward the intersection of Sewanee and Violet. The subject site's on your right. Moving on to Violet, we are looking to the east. So Sewanee, the intersection with Sewanee is in about the middle of the photo. And then looking west, Florida Avenue is in the distance there. And we have just a couple of quick shots of the alley. This one is facing south along the alley. The subject site has this wood fence here on the left. And then looking north, the subject site would be on the right, and the commercial structures on Florida Avenue are there on the left side of the alley. So at this time, I'll ask the applicant to begin his presentation.
And before the applicant does present, I just want to put on the record that the applicant has provided each of the commissioners an additional packet for each of them to consider during the presentation.
Thank you. Yes, the packet that you have in your hands is the same one that I'm presenting this evening. My name is Patrick Thorpe, allegedly. I am the architect of record on this project, and we will begin with the site plan, where we see the existing building on the property, as described, the minimal traditional ranch-style residence. We have an existing pool in the rear. We have a 20-inch elm tree that is in the back of the property that we will not be in conflict with, as we are well outside of the protective tree radius, as you see for the new single-story addition in the rear of the property. We are also widening the driveway in the front of the property, not the entire length. We are keeping the single apron and widening the driveway in order to provide a wider garage door, which we will see. These are the existing elevations, starting with the south elevation, which is on Violet Street. Then we have the west elevation, which is the back of the house facing the alley, the north elevation, and the east elevation, which faces Sewanee. So with those, we have the new proposed elevations. As you can see, the south elevation, we have the new addition pushed further back in the rear, which is behind a fence and also not visible from the street. There is a pergola as well as a fence from the street view, so this would not really be visible in any way. The west elevation also blocked by a fence from the alley, but a simple addition, very much like the existing residence. And then the north elevation, which is adjacent to another home, and then the east elevation from Sewanee, where the only change is that we are widening the garage door from a single to a double. Wall section is relatively simple. We have a 4 and 12 pitched roof with dimensional shingles. We have a 2-foot soffit overhang on the sides, but not at the rear, as depicted in the elevations. This is a vinyl soffit, and then we have block construction with stucco applied directly to the block, sitting on top of a turned-down concrete slab that basically meets the grade. We were asked by staff to provide a historic example of the 2-car garage door. So this is a map of the historic district, and you can see that 5002 North Sewanee is located right in this area. So within proximity of our residence, I have pictures of other residences that have 2-car garage doors. And this example at 5109 North Central Avenue is also on a minimal traditional ranch style home. And we also have on Central Avenue 3-car garage doors. Close up of the building's elevation, this is along Violet Street. You can see that there's some cut brick, precast concrete window sills, very simple windows, stucco on block, and then we have the vinyl soffit, as well as gutters and a cupola above. On the front of the home, we have similar language, where we have the cut brick on the bottom, very simple windows, some additional trim, the dimensional tile. If you see in the reflection of the window, there is a 1993 Volvo 240. That is a classic station wagon, but it is, much like this house, a non-contributing structure. And to the rear of the house, we see that, again, this is, again, very simple. We have a minimal overhang on the north elevation and a 2-foot overhang towards the back facing the alley. The cut brick does not repeat itself around the back of the property. And as you can see, at some point there was a change out of doors and windows in the rear to a simple vinyl system. So we are proposing to move forward with a similar, for the overhang portion of the new addition, we're going to continue with a vinyl soffit that is vented to keep consistent with the existing language of the structure. And we are now proposing also simple single hung windows, as well as simple picture windows and French doors for the new addition, along with a simple dimensional tile that meets all wind code regulations. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now staff will present their staff report.
Commissioners, staff finds that this application is consistent with the Seminole Heights design guidelines. We requested the historic reference for the 2-car garage door. This particular garage, I'm not certain that the applicant made it clear in the presentation. The garage is already a 2-car size garage. The space within is adequate for that. But there's only been one garage door on the exterior of it, so that's why we requested some additional information about that pattern in the area. I'm available if you have questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll open it up for public comment. Seeing none, we will bring it back to the commissioners for any questions, starting on my left this time.
The addition, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to be following the same planar face of the building that it is springing from?
No, sir. It will not be directly in line with the face of the existing building. We are stepping it back approximately 16 inches in the corner. That is, as you see, there are steps throughout the facade all around the building. So we felt that, one, keeping it in line would create additional structural concerns based on the loading of that corner. And we also wanted to maintain the language of the building by faceting that facade a little bit more.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a specification for the garage doors?
Not at this time, no. It will be a simple garage door, but I do not have a spec for that at this time.
Okay. And then the window on the west elevation, had you considered a window that's more in line with the existing structure rather than the, like I see the south elevation has those narrow single hung windows. But the wider ones throughout the house appear to have more detail.
The applicant is planning on upgrading the existing windows in the home. These are single pane metal windows, what we consider junk windows. They have very poor insulation qualities, so the intent is that all of the windows will be upgraded to a style that is similar to the vinyl windows we are proposing at this time.
Okay.
As far as the dimensionality of the window, I am happy to discuss with the client revising the width of this opening in order to match
The
the,
width isn't a problem, it's just the other windows of similar width throughout the home. I mean, even you're showing that they don't all match, but they have more detail than the single pane. I don't have any more questions.
Commissioners?
I had a similar concern with that one window on the west elevation. I think for me, the width, it appears to match in height. If it matched one of the existing windows in width, I think proportionally it would match a little bit better. Is that something you'd be willing to entertain?
absolutely. Since we're doing this out of masonry reconstruction, we selected a size window that was on coursing in order to reduce costs, but we can certainly look at reducing that a little bit.
Because
Since
then
we are,
if you do go back and change all the windows, then they'll all truly
then they will match, yes.
Okay, that was all my questions. Thank you.
And the roofing material is going to be the same with the existing, correct?
That's correct, dimensional shingle.
Okay, no questions.
The motivation for the garage doors, so staff indicated that it was one garage door before. Is that just for accessibility for your client?
That's correct. If you look at the east elevation, you can see that we have a single garage door and a window. So the wall for that garage from conditioned space to non-conditioned space actually falls between these two windows. So it is a two-car garage as staff had stated. So we are only proposing that we remove that window and allow full access for the vehicles.
Can you please show the examples of the historic ones that you were referencing, please?
This is 516 East Caracas, which
And are those two individual doors with windows?
this
That's
one
what it
does
appears
look
to
like
me.
it has to have windows here and here, yes.
Okay.
But that is not the sample that I would consider the most accurate. I would say that this one at 5109 North Central is closer to the design of our home as the minimal traditional ranch.
And can you put up the third you had
Yes.
as well? And those are three individual doors.
Three individual doors.
I do have some concerns about the mass of that door on the front elevation, but, okay. That's all I had. Oh, one more question. Are you planning to screen the new air conditioning unit? I know there's a fence, but just in case the fence goes away.
We certainly can add screening to it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions by commissioners? Seeing none?
I have a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
While we're on the garage door, would your client consider doing two separate garage doors?
It's possible, but I do not feel that it would match the style of the home as much as the double garage door would. In this particular vernacular, I don't think that two single garage door openings is the better solution.
Okay.
No more questions.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes for rebuttal, if you'd like to use that. Okay. So at this time, we'll close the public hearing, and commissioners can discuss the case, starting with my right this time.
I think it's consistent with the rest of the house, except for maybe we make a condition for staff to approve the garage door.
I agree with the applicant, I guess, on the garage door, and that having a traditional bungalow-style garage door doesn't seem appropriate on this house. It's very more modern house. I would want to make a condition that the width of the window on the west elevation match the width of an existing window. And then I guess back to yours with the staff, coordinating with staff on the final garage door approval.
Okay. Any other comments to my left?
I concur with my fellow commissioners.
I do as well.
Yes, and I guess I don't really have an issue with the door being enlarged. It's just the fact that it's a solid garage door in the front facade. So even if it had like a window element or something to visually break up that facade because it's like a wall of garage door right in the front. So that's just my thoughts. So,
It's, you would, I'm sorry, Kamari Pettis-Mackle for the record. So the public hearing is closed. If you would have to do a motion to reopen if the applicant wants to readdress the commission.
do you have
I
a
think-
motion?
I mean, we can reopen it, but I think it's fine because there is no specification for it, so we're gonna condition it regardless.
Okay. So, I'll entertain a motion on that.
I move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing, ARC 20-181, for the property located at 5002 North Swanee Avenue, because based upon the finding of fact, with the following conditions, that staff approves the final width of the west elevation new window, as well as the final specification for the garage door.
Can we say that the window matches the width of an
That the,
existing window?
that staff approves a final drawing with a west elevation new window matching an existing window width from the existing structure. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Seminole Heights design guidelines for the city of Tampa for the following reasons. The additions, mass and scale are consistent with the existing structure.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
One moment, Madam Chair.
Unless Dennis has something to say. Sorry, Dennis.
Thank you. I just did want to bring to your attention that tonight is Commissioner Rice's last hearing. She is moving on. Her term is complete. And we do appreciate her service to both the City of Tampa and the Architecture Review Commission and wish her well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.